Hi, today I'm going to show you how I make a Batman Minion cake. So first of all, take 3 6-inch round chocolate cakes. You need a sharp serrated knife, a palette knife, a buttercreaming board and a lazy susan. First of all, level off your cakes and trim one down to a domed shape for the top of the Minion head. Cut them in half. I put a slice in the edge of each of the cakes so I know where to put them back together, and I put some buttercream on the board where the slice is. This really helps. Layer up all your cake and then place a thick layer of buttercream all the way around the cake. Take your bench scraper and dip it in some kettle boiled water, smoothing off the buttercream. Also dip your palette knife in and smoothen off the top. Once you've finished, tip all the bits into the cling film, remove the cling film for a nice tidy work surface, and I've pre-covered a cake drum and put on a ribbon edge and a double ribbon on the front, and how I got the impression was I used my PME impression mat. It's a cobblestone effect, and I used my rolling pin on the soft fondant. If you want a deeper indentation, use your veining tool. Place some buttercream on the board, put your cake on the buttercream to hold it on, and then I've used a little bit of water to dampen down the cake so the fondant sticks nicely. Roll out some yellow fondant, measure your cake, measure your fondant and cut it to the right size. Roll the fondant up, using some corn flour as you go to help it stop it from sticking. Starting at the back of the cake, roll out the yellow fondant, smooth it onto the cake all the way around so the join is at the back and can't be seen. Use your hands to smoothen on the fondant so there's no air bubbles, and then take a sharp knife and cut a 1-inch piece from the top and the bottom. This allows room for the overall bottoms and the Batman mask at the top. Once you've cut it, just peel off the fondant all the way around and smoothen the edges. Roll a piece of black fondant, trim it to size, get your cake and place it on top. Smooth it down with your hands. At the front there'll be a point. Smoothing it on so the yellow and black fondant joins. Make your point at the front with your knife using an indentation. Once you're happy with that, trim off the excess black fondant. Smoothen down the edges. Use the edge of your veining tool to give it a nice neat finish. Make sure there's a point at the front for the front of the mask. Roll out some black fondant and trim it into a 1-inch strip. Roll it up, again using some corn flour to stop it from sticking to itself. Starting at the back, roll out the black fondant, and this is for the bottom of the overalls. Use the edge of your hand to smooth it down, and this will also rub out the corn flour. Trim it at the back and join the edges together. Take a piece of black fondant. This is going to be for the front of the overalls. Trim it to size. You can use a template at this stage. I prefer to use my eyeline, but a template is very helpful as well. Once you've trimmed it to the size you think is the right size, put it against the cake to check. If it's not the right size, just trim it a little bit. Once you're happy with it, paint on the water and start to stick the overalls from the bottom upwards. Finish it off by placing water all the way along the edge and stick it down. Use the edge of your veining tool to smoothen off the edge of the overalls. Take a small odd one piece of black fondant, put a little bit of water on, and this is for the back of the overalls. and then roll out some black fondant and cut it into a strip. This is for the straps. Starting at the front, stick it on, through to the back, and then trim off any excess at the back. Do the same for the other side. Start at the front, trim it at the back. Roll out a piece of black fondant and cut out the shape of the mouth. Again, you can use a template here. Roll out some little balls of white fondant, squash them down, cut them in half and stick them on upside down. I've used 4 at the top and 3 at the bottom. The bottom ones are slightly smaller for variation. Once you've got the right shape and size, use a little bit of water and stick it onto the centre of the cake and curl down the edges of the mouth using your veining tool. Now I've cut out a Batman logo and stuck it on some yellow fondant. I did this a few days ago to let it set to make it easier to stick on the front of the overalls. Use your goggles to imprint the shape of the eyes and then cut them out. Use some brown fondant, squash it down and stick it onto the whites of the eyes. Do the same with some black fondant, stick it onto the brown, and then a tiny little bit of white fondant stuck onto the black of the fondant, and that finishes the eyes. These are the goggles that I made a few days ago. I made them out of modelling paste, let them set and sprayed them silver. Now push them onto the cake so you've got an indentation where to place the eyes, and then stick the goggles on with a little bit of edible glue. Now I'm making the shoes. So shape some black fondant into the shape of a shoe, draw in the heel, and then draw in the sole. And then I put lots of dots in the heel to make it more realistic. Make your hand form a ball of black fondant, thin it at the edge, trim it off and cut 3 digits for the fingers. Trim some black fondant for the ears, and then make a sausage of black fondant, shape them into the little legs and make some yellow arms. And then once you've got all the features made, stick them on with a little bit of water. Now I'm sticking on the ears. Just place a little bit of water, push them onto the head, smooth them down and point them up, making sure that they are in the right position. Do the same with the other side. Again, you just need a little bit of water. Stick them on, smooth them down firmly, make sure they're both in place, and roll out some black fondant, put it into a strip, and this is going to be used for the goggle strap. Check for size. If it's too long, trim it down. Using a little bit of water, lift up the edge of the goggle and place it underneath. Smooth it on to the ear and then trim off any excess and push the edge of the goggle strap under the ear so it can't be seen. Take your veining tool to smooth the edges and put a thick groove in the edge. Do the same with the other side, and then this is going to be for the back of the goggle strap. Trim it to the right size so it has to be the same thickness as the left and the right that you've just stuck on. Put on a little bit of water. Stick it on. Trim it down with a sharp knife. Use the edge of your veining tool again to put in a thick groove all the way along. Roll out a big piece of black fondant, trim it into the shape of a cape, take your circle cutter and make some cuts in the bottom to make it look more realistic. And then put a bit of water on the top of the cake, lift up your cape and stick it on. Stick on the edges of the cake, If there's any bits that have got trapped underneath, just pull them out with your veiling tool. Use your paintbrush for any awkward bits. And then again I cut out a yellow Batman and I've stuck that onto the back of the cape to give it a nice Batman finish. I've made some yellow buttons and put the black stitching on, and I'm sticking them on with a little bit of water. And now I'm placing on the birthday message, just lining it up so it looks right, sticking it on. And this is the cake once it's finished and all put together, looking really lovely, ideal for any Batman or Minion fan. I do hope you found this video helpful and useful, and thank you very much for watching. If you want to see more videos from me, do subscribe. Bye bye.